There is a river in the Amazon jungle. You cannot swim in it. You cannot touch it. Step into this river and you cook alive. Not slowly, not gently. The water reaches 91 degrees Celsius. That is just 9 degrees below boiling point. Hot enough to kill a human in seconds. Hot enough to cook an anaconda from the inside out. And for centuries, the people living around it believed it was guarded by a giant supernatural serpent called Yakumama, Mother of the Waters. They said she breathed fire into the river to protect the jungle. Scientists laughed at that story. For years, they said it was impossible. A boiling river with no volcano nearby, that breaks every rule in geology. But in 2011, one geoscientist flew into the jungle to prove the legend wrong. What he found instead changed everything. His name is Andrés Ruzo. His grandfather had told him stories about the river as a child. A river so hot it boiled. Ruzo grew up, became a geoscientist, and spent years assuming it was a myth. Then his aunt, who had actually seen it, told him exactly where it was. He booked a flight to Peru. He found it in the jungle near Pucallpa, Peru, a sacred healing site used by the Shipibo-Conibo people for generations. And when he walked to the edge of the water, he understood instantly why no one had ever survived falling in. The steam was thick. The water was a deep, murky brown. And at the surface, he watched a frog slip in. In 4 seconds, it stopped moving. The proteins in its body had cooked, right in front of him. Ruzo pulled out his thermometer. The reading stopped him cold. 91 degrees Celsius. In a river. In the middle of the Amazon. With no active volcano within 700 kilometers. By every rule of science, this river should not exist. Here is the science problem. Boiling water underground makes sense near volcanoes. The magma heats the rock. The rock heats the water. Simple, like putting a pot on a stove. But the nearest volcano to this river is 700 kilometers away. That is like your stove being in New York and your pot boiling in Washington, D.C. That does not happen. Except here it does. Ruzo spent years trying to solve this. He brought geologists. He tested the water chemistry. And the chemistry gave him the first clue. The water was not coming from rain. It was coming from deep underground. From a system of faults and cracks that act like a network of underground pipes. Think of it like a heating system in your house. The boiler is far away in the basement, but the radiator in your bedroom still burns hot. The Amazon's boiler is deep in the earth, and the river is its radiator. The water travels for miles underground, absorbs geothermal heat, and erupts into the surface as this scalding, impossible river. But here is where the story gets darker. Because Ruzo did not just discover a scientific wonder, he discovered that it was disappearing. The Shanay Timpishka, that is the river's real name, meaning boiled with the heat of the sun, sits in one of the most threatened ecosystems on Earth. The Amazon loses an area of rainforest the size of a football field every single minute. The illegal loggers do not know what they are cutting toward. The oil companies drilling nearby do not know what they are drilling above. The forest around the river is shrinking. And when the forest goes, the river dies. Here is why that matters beyond the science. The Shipibo-Konibo people, who have lived alongside this river for centuries, use it as a sacred healing site. They believe Yakumama, the great serpent, still lives beneath the surface and breathes heat into the river to heal the sick and warn away the unworthy. For them, this is not a geological curiosity. It is the living heartbeat of the jungle. So here is the answer to the mystery. The Shane Timpishka boils because deep geothermal heat, traveling along a massive fault system, superheats water miles underground, and the water erupts upward through this sacred stretch of jungle. No volcano required, just the raw, leaking heat of the earth itself, bleeding through the crust like a fever. Andres Russo believes there are more rivers like this, hidden in the Amazon, hidden in other jungles, unknown to science, unrecorded, perhaps already being destroyed before we ever find them. He says the boiling river was only discovered because someone's grandmother remembered a story. If this video changed how you see the Amazon, consider liking and sharing it with someone who loves understanding how our planet works. Subscribe for weekly stories where science feels unbelievable until it makes perfect sense. Turn on the bell so you don't miss what's next.